Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me. And I'm super excited for our webinar today, how to get all the clients you ever wanted with LinkedIn. So if you just take a minute and in your chat box, just say where you're from, even where the weather is, any kind of little bit of information about you. We're waiting for more people to join. We're going to get started in just a minute, and I appreciate everyone for joining me. I know that it's your lunch time, it's valuable time, and I appreciate you spending that time with me. I see some people popping on and off, so we'll get started in just a minute, but if you could go to that chat box and let me know what city you're in, I appreciate it. All right. Hello, Lori from Nashville and LaShondra from Murfreesboro. And Andy's super excited in Nashville and Charles in Murfreesboro. Some of you I know, Crystal's in the borough from my Wednesday morning networking group. If you don't know about that, every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. we have a limit of 10 people, but we meet in our office and we have a free networking group. One of the things that's new that we just started is video chat networking, where we will video your elevator speech and you can share it and use it wherever you want in your marketing. And that is a pretty cool thing because I'll listen and you put a camera in front of me, and I have found that it is a little bit more difficult to give you an elevator speech while someone's recording you. So it's a great way to get a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera, because we all know videos are where it's at. And hi, Jenny in Murfreesboro also. All right, well, it's a couple minutes after, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I like to start on time and end on time. So this is our webinar on how to get all the clients you ever wanted with LinkedIn. A little bit about me. I am a crazy mom of 3 kids, and I love living in Murfreesboro. We moved here about 8 years ago. There's a picture of me and my husband, and he's had to withstand a whole lot of selfies. Over the last couple years, I'm teaching him very well how to keep his chin tucked down and turn slightly to the side, as you can see in that picture below. The one in the middle are my band kids. On the left is Garrett, my son. He's in percussion. Katrina's in the middle. She plays a multitude of instruments. And on the right is Marius, our exchange student from Germany that we had last year, and he played the clarinet. On the far right is a funny picture of me, but Halloween, I went as my live interactive LinkedIn profile to a networking event, and it's funny, I got a lot of really good responses from it. So one of the things up there is that I speak Geeklish, and Geeklish is a term that I made up myself, and it is how I take the geeky coding website, digital marketing world, and the conversational English, and I mix them together, and I make it so that my clients can have their what they envision of their brand online. And being a band mom is super important to me, and I really like working with small businesses. That's a really big passion of mine for a long time. So why LinkedIn? It's really good to have a Facebook page and a Twitter account. It's even better. There's no denying that not only is Facebook still the #1 social network, but that its star is on the rise again. However, there's another social media platform that business professionals in particular should ignore. Are part of a higher income bracket, which means they have a larger disposable income than the average US consumer, especially if you compare that to what's on Facebook. LinkedIn is a social network that's closely aligned with the business mindset. It's a service-oriented, business-focused professionals. It is above all still a networking social arena, but LinkedIn attracts those that are most likely to be interested in and able to afford your product or service. The average income of a LinkedIn participant gives them twice the buying power of the average US consumer. And that's according to the Social Times infographic, originally published in 2013. And in 2015, they went back and reevaluated, and the average income statistics are still between $75,000 and $109,000. So those are the people with lots of money to buy and utilize your products. So then it talks about the use of who's on LinkedIn for how long. So 58% of users spend more than 2 hours a week on LinkedIn. And if you just do Monday through Friday, that's a chunk of change each day where they're engaged. There's a 2015 article at Forbes.com that talks a little bit more about that. But the most important part of the article is the time that is spent on LinkedIn is up 10% from last year. Another fact that's really important about the LinkedIn users is that the strongest age demographic is 30 to 64 years old. And that's the bracket most of us are really trying to reach. Notice from the infographic section above that there's a high representation of those with university degrees. If that's the type of clientele that you are trying to attract, then that's absolutely amazing. College and university grads the biggest demographic next to the 30 to 64-year-old professionals. So just a good bit of information there. So what do we need to do? First thing you need to do is to clean up your profile. So before you attempt to connect or reconnect with people on LinkedIn, it is absolutely imperative that you clean up your LinkedIn profile. So how do you do that? Well, if you haven't logged into LinkedIn for a while, when you log in for the first time, it's going to say, you'll notice some changes. LinkedIn is very proactive. They go out of their way to point them out to you to make sure that you can best use their platform. So go ahead and go through and click on each one to get yourself up to speed. So what we need to do to clean it up? It's easier than it's ever been to edit your profile. Just click on your photo on the top right corner of your browser and it will open up along with suggestions. The first thing that you want to do is see how your ideal client is going to see you. When she views your connection request and clicks on your profile link, so what are the people actually seeing? Because what you see, it has the edits and the sprockets and different things like that. So to see what they're seeing, you click on as, and then you can select an existing contact your client profile. This will give you a bird's eye view of how people see you. When you look through that, make a note of any of the elements that you want to change or move or delete. And the next step is you're going to be ready to refine your profile. If lead generation, technical difficulty, so if you have any problems, go ahead and type in the chat box. But if lead generation is your primary goal, then your LinkedIn profile should be all about branding. Who do you want them to see when they read your profile? What do you want for them to search for? Finding you as a solution. What kind of person do you want them to perceive you as? Are you a plumber? Are you an insurance salesman? Are you looking to help people live a better, healthier life? All those kinds of things are important. So keywords are like the be all end all. So answering those questions should define the precise keywords that you need to make sure they're placed in all the key areas of your profile and your summary. If you are one of the gazillion people out there that has put CEO for your title or given yourself too generic a title such as coach, you need to change that. You need to be specific and you need to make sure that your headline is something that's searchable. One of the things that you need to make sure of is that when people are looking for a speaker, a trainer, an insurance agent, whatever it is that you do, that's what you have listed in there. If you go and look on LinkedIn and look at my profile, I have more than one title in my headline, and they're very specific for search. So make sure you use that. So places that you can put your keywords. You put your keywords in your headline, your summary, your current, your skills section, and your job title. It's really important because those are the ones that are scanned over, and that when there's a search going on, those keywords will help your profile pop up. If you've never searched for somebody by their keyword or their title, it's good to go in there and type in what you think people would look for and see what comes up, and you can kind of compare would that work for me? So if you put in social media trainer, my profile should come pretty high up in that search because that's the way I've worded my profile. Okay, so another step is the endorsements. Endorsements are fantastic, but you need to make sure that they're relevant to you and they contain the main keywords that you want to be known for. So what you do is you click on suggestions. You can go in there and you can delete the endorsements that you don't want anymore. This is important if you change jobs and fields. So if you are recommended for being a restaurateur and you're not in the restaurant business anymore, go ahead and delete all of those things that are related to that, and then you can add your own. And I have done that, and they're keyword phrased. So when they pop up for other people, I'm asking for very specific endorsements. I know this is a ton of information. I hope you guys are keeping notes. I do have some checklists and stuff like that that will be emailed out after the presentation so that you can keep you going along. If you have any questions, you can type them in the chat box, as well as I'd love to meet with any of you afterwards if you have additional questions. So here we go. It's a pop-up section. So the news sections include advice for contacting, publications, certifications, causes you care about, supported organizations, projects, or task force in every single section. But I do think it's important if you have those things to do there. So we've done with the city. If there's causes you care about, if you have certifications, if you've written anything that has been published online outside of your personal website, then let me know. Okay, we have a little thing going on again. All right, is this better? Go ahead and type in the chat box if you don't mind, if you can hear me better now. Probably can't anything thinking it's out, but so all the selections, if you have something that is pertinent, thank you so much. If it's pertinent to you, then organizations is a big one. I definitely recommend that. All right, so which selections you choose is up to you, and you want to be specific of what you want to be known for. You really want to avoid the kitchen sink mentality where you include every single detail of your life. You want to make sure you keep it focused and streamlined, and that everything that you put on there will appeal to and interest your ideal client. So it's, for example, if you are a coach, there are specific sections you may wish to add, for example, certifications if you have coaching credentials, and the advice for contacting would be really great on how they should. You've decided to post articles, which be blog articles you've written and things like that. You want to make sure that you have a posting strategy. You'll add that post, and that will give anyone checking out your profile a way to instantly read your post without them having to hunt for them. So this is really great if you have content tips, links that you're posting to clients. And okay, still cutting in and out. Hang on for me once. I'm gonna try something. Hang on. Okay, let me know if this is working any better. All right, so it looks like this is better. So if you have this posting strategy, it's going to be a really good section for you to have, like I said, any of your content or tips or links in there. And then your summary. When you write your summary, don't do it third person resume style. It makes it look like you're applying for a job. Instead, write one in the first person that's directly related to your reader. If you look at mine, I have my clients that I take care of. I have overcoming objections by having questions people ask me, things like that that are very specific. You want to tell them what you think they'll be most interested in about you and about what you do. So you can touch on their biggest concerns. Let's say you want to give them a solution. You can say, I developed an easy 6-step method for banishing stage fright in any venue with any sized crowd. Now, if you're trying to reach people that want to get in public speaking, that is going to be really great for them. All right, specialties. If you haven't already combined your specialties section with your summary, don't do it. It's important to keep it separate. That way you can showcase any of your skills in your specialty section and talk more about the value and benefits of what you offer. Do not combine them because it's a permanent thing and you will lose your specialty section. And then when you're done updating your profile, move the different sections around so that the ones that you really want people to see are the ones near the top of your profile. So this is just a list of editing your profile and what you need to do. So I know we talked a lot about what we did, and probably before you do that, you want to go into your privacy settings and take a look at everything that's in there. All right, so the next thing we want to talk about is creating a gift or presentation. The last step to updating your profile is to create something valuable that people can open or download or click through that you attach to your profile summary. You're going to do this by uploading or attaching your gift presentation to the bottom of your summary by clicking on the appropriate icon. So you can see there, it tells you which one to click on. This is your big chance to go one step above the majority of other LinkedIn users and show your ideal client you can instantly offer them something of real value. This is a very underutilized area on LinkedIn, and many people just ignore and skip it. So what kind of things can you do? So documents, you can do things like checklists, worksheets, templates, short reports, and ebooks. Photo-wise, you can do infographics, photo products, inspirational photos, informational photos, technical diagrams, charts, maps, things like that. Make sure that you use those to link to something else, whether it's on your website or somewhere along the line, so that you can feed them along where you want them to go. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go in depth a little bit more about a video. So what you can do is create a quick how-to video or a find your whatever video. Another great option is a welcome video with choice tips that you offer or a case study. So your welcome video, you can have click to meet me, and then you can do a 30-second who you are, what you do, what you provide, and what kind of clients you help. That will be so far ahead of the majority of LinkedIn users, you would just be a rock star. Other kind of things that you can do are presentations. You can embed video, photo, slides, radio content if you have a radio show, by, if it's one of the supported providers. But some of them that are supported are SlideShare, Instagram, Vimeo, Imgur, Flickr, Scribe, YouTube, and TwitPic. All right, so step 3, make the most of new connections. We're almost there, almost time to share your new profile with these value-adding sections and gifts and presentations, but here's something you must absolutely never do. When you try to check out your messages or inbox, LinkedIn will often suggest new connections based on who you know,
You'll see a whole page full of profile images and names, and it's under the title of people you may know. And no matter how well you know the person on that list, do not click the connect button. It's important. If you do that, it will instantly and automatically send that invitation to connect with that generic message, and you don't get a chance to personalize it. So sending the default message unpersonalized is one of the biggest fatal mistakes that you can have on LinkedIn. Not only are you unlikely to have your invitation accepted, but LinkedIn, yes, the people that started that default invitation will penalize you for sending it, especially if you send a bunch. And then they'll put restrictions on you to have the ability to connect with other people. So don't just click that generic thing under people you know. This is what you need to do instead. You want to click on the person's name. It's hyperlinked. It will take you straight to their profile, where you can personalize and send that connection invitation without that generic message and without being penalized. And then you want to be sure to check out your add connections icon and accept any pending invitations if they are people you really want to connect with. And you can send out suggested invitations if you know the person in question as well. So when you accept an invitation, and a lot of times you'll be inundated with a ton of connections. So when you accept one, it's a great idea to write a short note to the person, thanking them for the invite, mentioning something you have in common, and ensuring them that you are looking forward to reading their posts or connecting with them in a group or any other thing that you have that's in common. If you do this, this is another thing that helps you stand out over probably 90% of LinkedIn users. You will, 9 times out of 10, receive a positive reply or acknowledge that they received it. And that is one of the secret weapons of getting started in a conversation. Then you can also do follow-up by checking LinkedIn regularly, especially in the first couple weeks after adding people or accepting invitations to see if they have posted anything. This gives you a second opportunity to interact or engage with any posts or updates that they've made. You can make a simple database of people you've connected with on LinkedIn, and it can have as little as 3 fields or as many as you want. And you can use Excel, or on Google, you can use their sheets. There's the common 3 fields is their name, what they do, and what they care about and are looking for. I recommend adding a few more things to that, like where did you meet them, if you've met them in person somewhere before you're connecting with them online. And, you know, I know it says what they do, but what is their field as well as what they do, because a marketing manager and a marketing manager that works in plumbing, it's another area that you can search when you want to connect with more people that are similar. It's really up to you, depending on how much tracking and research you want to keep track of. So that's the database. And you know, I mean, lead generation is important, and that's one of the things about LinkedIn is you need to recognize that you can get lead generation from it. So that database will automatically double as kind of a research project and lead generation, helping you decide what kind of product, gift, or presentation to create for the next LinkedIn connection. So let's say we can go back to that marketing manager for the plumbing company. You know, you have connected with them. Maybe you've sent them to look at your welcome video. You know, maybe you have good analytics and you're tracking a little bit more than that. You can see, are people clicking on that welcome video? Are they clicking on a download for a free tool? And if so, you can see, hey, that person clicked here, and you can put it to your database and start to see what's working and not working depending on your client. And oh my gosh, never ever add people just for the sake of getting to that 500. Remember, the connections are everything on LinkedIn. Every time someone checks out your profile or connects with you, they get a good idea of who you're connected with also. And depending on how you handle your profile and what you allow in it, they could potentially see things like your influencers, people also viewed, organizations you support, a list of your skills that suggests the people you invite to endorse, and a list of your posts. Ruthlessly, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, get rid of any connection or endorsement that does not support your summary persona, is irrelevant to your ideal client or connection. LinkedIn is not Facebook. It is a business network. You don't want to have people that you don't professionally endorse connected on LinkedIn. Now, that being said, one of the biggest mistakes you can also make is turning away new connections, but you need to be choosy. You can click on their name, you need to read their profile before accepting them, and then decide, would this person be my ideal client? Can it help build your reputation? It might bring you ideal clients? And can you refer people to them? Because it is always a two-way street. Now, the magic number is 500 plus connections. So 501, super important, but don't get there in a shady way. Okay, step number 4, gaining your all-star status. Go ahead in the chat box and type yes or no if you have an all-star status in your LinkedIn. So let's talk about how to gain that all-star status. You want to make sure that you add as much information as you can on those blocks without being too much. You don't want to add anything that's irrelevant or distracting or boring. What you want to do when you're achieving an all-star profile just means that you filled out mostly complete profile according to LinkedIn's profile standard. So let's keep going along on how do you become an all-star. To level up your profile through all 5 levels to all-star, you need to complete the following sections: your industry and location, your current position plus a description, past positions minimum of 2, education, your skills and a minimum of 3, a current profile photo, and a minimum of 50 connections. And one of the other things to think about is the all-star profiles have a priority in the search results. So LinkedIn will spit out those all-star profiles ahead of yours when people are searching. Chances are if you have less than a top-level profile, you won't even turn up in some people's searches. So you've made the most of your profile. You're adding new connections regularly. You're accepting invitations. And now it's time to start nurturing those relationships. Don't make the typical LinkedIn user mistake of setting and forgetting or accepting and forgetting. You really want to keep in touch. So how are we going to feed and water our relationships in step 5? There are pros and cons on turning on the update notification feature to off. A pro tip: you'll never have the awful experience of having LinkedIn automatically send every one of your connections an update about an event you'd rather keep quiet. And the con is updates can be opportunities. People are reminded about you and can see your achievement. Now, what exactly am I talking about there? In your settings, you can have LinkedIn turn off the update notification feature. What that means is when you're making all these updates that we talked about, you're going to want to have that feature off so people aren't seeing you change wording here and add a video and moving things around and adding endorsements. But certainly when you are all done having your profile cleaned up, you want to turn it back on so that if you make a post or add something to your job description, then the people that you're connected with will see that. So if you are in business, LinkedIn should be one of your more important networks. It's very good for business-to-business networking. LinkedIn is one of the social media networks where people do not delegate posting and monitoring to someone else. It's your chance to make direct connections, ask questions, help your ideal audience, and get tips from top influencers. But you won't be able to do that if you forget to check it. So take it seriously and consider the time you spend on LinkedIn as an investment and decide how it fits in your business routines. I often, when I'm coaching people, will say, put a time on your calendar every day, every other day, whatever your time is, and block it out, and so you consistently do it. The biggest thing about social media is people think they're going to pop in here and pop in there. And what happens is either you spend an hour looking at memes about cats, or you just don't do it at all. If you put it on your calendar, you are much more likely to be successful and get it done. So we've touched on the importance of sending welcome and or thank you letters to people who have accepted your invitations. Now we're going to go one step further by concluding your letter with a call to action, inviting them to visit a link or download a gift. Just make sure that this is not a link to a paid product or sales pitch that will turn them off immediately. It should be more of a way of saying, hey, by the way, here's something I think that you'll find helpful. You want to get into the habit of regularly making posts. You want to keep them simple, clear, and targeted. Now and again, if you have something that's truly important and helpful to say, you can write a longer post. Always gear your posts to your ideal reader's interests and never make the post to ramble, vent, go off on tangents, especially during an election year. If you want to add a post, just go to your homepage and you click on Publish a Post, which is right there in that little visual. When you click on Publish a Post, you'll discover that you can add a lot of different kinds of rich media. This means that you can use the LinkedIn Pulse to do things like share a slideshow presentation or a podcast. And if you don't know what LinkedIn Pulse is, I'm not going to go into it right this minute, but it's something you should definitely check out. When writing posts that you're going to put on your LinkedIn profile, make sure that they make one big giant point. That's the easiest way to make sure they are clear and readable. If you prefer to post things like short lists, make sure every point focuses on that single topic that you're relating to in your post. Notice that you are able to give your post a true headline, so make the most of that and make the headlines that will attract and intrigue people to read further. LinkedIn will also display a list of your most recent posts on the top left-hand side of the posting window. Knowing this in advance and keeping an eye on your growing list of posts can help you plan your content so that it's more focused, targeted, and valuable to the ideal follower. Number 6, make the most of groups. I hear a lot of people saying that groups are no longer as useful as they used to be on LinkedIn, but honestly, it just depends on how you use them. Your number one priority is joining groups where you'll either find research information that you need or find people in need of your help. The more groups you join, the merrier. Searches are also influenced by the groups that you are associated with. Just make sure you're prepared to contribute to and or monitor your top key groups. So you may have 30 groups that you're part of, but maybe the top 5 are the ones where you engage and monitor and interact. So make sure that you know which 5 those are. And then by research information, that means you join an industry or specialty group where you can hear current trends, workarounds, updates, and news. And it will actually save you more time belonging to a focused industry group rather than going to blogs or Google to try to find that information. I belong to several social media groups so that when there are updates or changes, or if, God forbid, Facebook goes down, I can get that content pretty quickly. All right, so when you are in your group, you need to create content for the people in your group by what they need. And most of all, you need to be sensitive to when you put it out there. You can direct people to a landing page where they can download your helpful content or refer them to an info-packed relevant article you've already written if they've asked a direct question. You don't just spam the group. So you can go to LinkedIn Discover Groups page and read the group summaries and join the ideal groups for you. LinkedIn auto-populates the ones they think are your perfect match, kind of like internet dating, but more important, where you already have existing connections. Those groups, the ones that are filled with your connections, are where you can naturally and organically continue conversations. When checking out your groups, get in the habit of asking yourself, how can I help the people that are here today? What can I share that will help them? And if you want to connect with industry influencers, look to see if their faces are among the list in the small profile photos, people you know on the groups you're checking out. Remember, not only will you get to know that particular influencer, but if you post regularly, the influencer will get to know you. And what I mean by that is if you have a bigwig in your industry in a group and you're part of it, and they regularly participate and you regularly participate, you may get the opportunity to cross paths with them in a way that you wouldn't have been able to before. I know everybody's familiar with getting past the gatekeeper. You can't call up somebody that's a CEO that you're trying to connect with and get past the gatekeeper easily. But if they are in the group and regularly participating, you have a priceless opportunity to connect with them. Also remember that you can send direct messages to the people in your groups, even if they're not connected to you. So you want to join groups where your ideal clients hang out and limit your industry and peer groups to just 1 or 2, primarily for research and update purposes. And finally, you want to make sure that any of the groups that you are in are active. You don't want to waste time and energy on groups where people are just, it's like a ghost town. Nobody's really posting. There'll be days or weeks in between interaction because that just takes up one of your group slots. That's useless. All right, number 7. I know we're moving right along. I really want to make sure that we finish on time. So step 7, make a plan. Even among the people who listen to this webinar, many will take all these strategies we've talked about, initiate some, maybe even all for those all-stars, and then let it fall by the wayside. They're going to abandon those good intentions that they had when they got started and pumped up and excited. LinkedIn lead generation will fall back into limbo, and you'll really be missing out. People may invite you to connect, and you won't be there to read their invitations. And then the people will forget about you because you forgot to be active on a regular basis. All of these drawbacks can be minimized or eliminated if you just make a LinkedIn management plan. Also, you can make yourself a checklist and put it on that calendar to make sure you haven't missed anything and you're following that plan. So you need to decide, A, how valuable a strategy LinkedIn lead generation is likely to be for you. B, how much time do you have to devote to it on a daily or weekly basis? So let's make ourselves a basic checklist right now. You want to keep growing your network. So you want to add connections and accept invitations and actively work on surpassing the 500 plus mark. In your chat box, let me know, do you have 500 or more connections on LinkedIn? Remember, the more connections you have, the more people will be able to find you. The more connections will be notified when you post, and your reputation and authority status will rapidly increase as long as you're following the steps of not just accepting any random crazy people. And so I see several of you are over that 500 mark, and that's great. I mean, you're either 500 plus or you're not. So that's one of the things that you really need to work towards in a positive way. So what are we going to do with our plan? The first thing that we're going to do is create a content plan. You can use an editorial calendar. And like one of the biggest things is don't kill yourself writing new stuff. Go through what you've already written and repurpose it for LinkedIn. So you've made a blog post or you've written an article. So go ahead and either make it smaller, change the wording, whatever you need to do to then post it on your LinkedIn. Build in your time for monitoring and responding to post comments, and remember to check them out. Create at least one top-notch presentation, video, podcast, or infographic per week or month, depending on what your plan is. So you know you have one that you need to hit out of the park. Whatever it is, got to be awesome. Create bonus gifts and products in direct response from LinkedIn group conversations and post comments. So you can kind of go and look in your group and see what people are giving away or talking about, or maybe what a frustration is they have, and create a bonus gift for them. If they're talking about having people walk in the door of their retail store, you know, you can say, hey, this is an article I just wrote about what a case study I did about getting more people to go into a brick and mortar. So you know it's something that they want because they've been talking about it. You have your case study, your paper, whatever it is that you're going to give them, and you become a very valuable person. Furthermore, in your plan, you want to share your LinkedIn Pulse links across other social media, and sharing from one platform to another is really a habit that you need to get into. It helps you repurpose your LinkedIn content for other social media and vice versa. It just takes a little bit of rewriting and refocusing. And if you get a habit of that, your content becomes so much more valuable for you and saves you time. You're going to feed and water your groups. Make a point of regularly checking group comments, questions, and posts. And you want to create special content just for them that answers those specific needs like we just talked about. And then you fit this content creation in your LinkedIn time. That stuff on your calendar where you say, I'm spending 20 minutes just on LinkedIn. All right, number 8, track your results. And I'm not talking about sophisticated metrics programs, not crazy Google Analytics. Remember we talked earlier about making a simple database for new connections? That's the kind of tracking that can be really valuable here. So how are you going to track these results? Well, in other words, you want to see what strategies really work for you and what don't. For example, if you're getting a 90% lead generation and interaction from 3 out of your 17 LinkedIn groups, you really need to spend more time creating content that works for those 3 active groups and not focus on the ones that aren't really doing anything. For example, if you're a fitness coach and your posts on LinkedIn are about using a particular exercise machine to get a huge response, reposition yourself to be an expert on that particular machine. Create videos or slideshow content, links, and use candid Instagram or Twitter content. It's funny how many people just ignore Twitter, but there is so much value on Twitter on reusing content either you or someone else has created to get engagement. All right, step 9, we're going to move the relationship offline. I am a huge fan of digital content, but I also understand that the way to really drive your business is in person. All the top LinkedIn experts nowadays recommend taking one final step in generating the leads that convert to clients, and that is moving the relationship from online to offline. Even if it's not possible for you to hop on a plane to Anchorage, Alaska to meet someone for coffee, you can still recreate the effect by initiating real face-to-face interaction. And you can do this by getting together over Skype or FaceTime with or without video. Crazy thought, you could use a telephone, or you can create a Google Live Hangout like this on a topic they're passionate about, especially if you make a private hangout and limit to a very small exclusive number of participants. Each person feels even more valued. If you can, and you're within an hour and a half of somebody, get together for real-time chat, and the interaction that you have with that new client is the best way to build that trust, just person to person. You can also do something like this via a private strategy session if you prefer. Just make sure to have a call to action ready at the end of the session and options lined up for your participant. This is really great if you're in the coaching field. In fact, real-time conversation is the only time you should attempt to close a sale. If your interaction has been primarily through LinkedIn, do not try to sell them on LinkedIn. It's why it's important to find a way to make that real connection happen. So if you're a coach, LinkedIn is tailor-made for your needs and purposes. If you use it wisely and regularly, it can provide priceless, it can provide, blah, 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 blah. It can prove priceless in helping you build your authority, reputation, and professional brand, and help you get all the clients you want. So I'm going to be taking questions in a minute, but first, I just want to thank you all so much for attending. It's 12:43, so we kept it really good on the time. I'm always looking to connect with people, so on there, you know, it's my cell phone number. You can text me, you can call me, you can, you know, whatever. Also on there is my Facebook page, my Twitter account, and my LinkedIn account. I welcome all of you guys to go in and take a look at my LinkedIn page. I worked with someone who is a premier LinkedIn coach to help get my profile not only at that all-star status, but be dialed in. So if you have any questions, if you could put them in the chat box now, that would be awesome, and I'll be able to answer them. So some of the other things that I really pay attention to on my LinkedIn profile is if you look at my image, it is said that you should use a white background on your headshot, and your headshot should be professional. But I have blonde hair, and I found that when I used that white background, I was really washed out. So I kept the black background that I got with that picture I had taken, and then added those blue ribbons along the side. And you're welcome, Cheryl. One of the things that I will tell you is I use a website called Canva, which is canva.com. And it will allow you to make images for social media in any size because you can customize it. And they also have some templates available. So what I did is I took my my headshot, I threw it onto Canva, and I added those little ribbons to the side, and I made sure that I did an image size that was acceptable. So I just wanted to let you know that you can use Canva to do all that kind of stuff and make images for your posts. I do have a question that came in, and it says, can you search on LinkedIn by people's hobbies or interests? Now, you can if it's related to the keywords. So, you know, you want to make sure that if your hobby is basket weaving, then somewhere in your profile you say that that's your hobby. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Do I work one-on-one with clients? Yes, I do. I would love to help you more with your LinkedIn profile. If you need that, by all means, I would absolutely help whoever was needed. It's just showing my picture now. That's interesting. Yeah, technical difficulties. You have to love them. But at least you get to see me. Do I have any other questions? Well, I'll let you know that I am going to send all of you some information that will help you a little bit further. I have some checklists and some different things that I have created to help everyone utilize their LinkedIn profile and get it up to date a little bit more. I just, you know, one of the things I want to stress for you is to make sure that you turn off the notifications before you start making updates. And what I'm going to send to you is going to be a worksheet, 21 ideas, a calendar, and a checklist so that you guys will be able to really rock out your LinkedIn profile. And if there's any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to say goodbye for now. Thanks so much for everyone that joined, and I hope to see you all soon.